We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans all over from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Concannons, Carters, and Greeks.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, well, now you'll see we have maybe someone a little bit more than the fan, for the fans, all of you loyal Ball State of the Union listeners. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, when you hear that song, when you hear my beautiful voice, you know we're about to be talking Ball State. So everyone, we are live on YouTube. We're live on X. We're live on Instagram right now. And as you'll see, unless you're living under a rock this week, we have a very special new, not only guest, but new member of the Ball State of the Union team. Ball State football legend, NFL veteran, the one, the only, Mr. Willie Snead. Willie, thank you so much not only for being here today, but for willing to join the show and the team as a full-time member. So, before we get into it, how did you come to be a member of Ball State of the Union? What did you see in Ball State of the Union that made you say, you know what, I got to be a part of this team?
And guys, first of all, really happy, excited for the opportunity to join you guys. Really, it was just the interview that we had together. I thought it was genuine. I thought it was real. And to be honest, I always had a feeling since like I haven't been playing football like as of lately. Just the urge to like talk sports, especially Ball State football. I always had a passion for Ball State since I left and always kept tabs on them and everything. So it was just kind of the connection that we had, and then just asking for the opportunity. I went to other people and asked for opportunities. They left me on red,
Oh, no
and I
good.
was like, mm. So I reached out to somebody I knew, you guys, and you guys were authentic and real, and you were excited. So I was like, all right, let's do this. So here we are, ready to get.
Perfect. We love it. We love having you here. So, anyone out there listening, if you have any questions for Colin and I, if you have any questions for Willie, be sure to put them in the chat wherever you're watching it, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter, and we will read them all at the end of the show. It can be questions about the game. It can be questions about anything. If you got want to know some picks for the NFL today, drop them in there. If you need Willie to give you some love life advice, put it in there. We'll answer whatever you guys got. So, without further ado, let's kind of jump right into the game. And Willie, we'll start here right here with you. Give me your first kind of your overall impressions coming out. Obviously, we're not that far removed from the game, just a few hours, but what are kind of your key impressions, takeaways from the game that just ended a few hours ago? Obviously, tough loss at Auburn, pretty much expected. But Willie, what were your impressions of that game down there in the SEC last night?
Yeah, I thought it was a tough fought game. It was really gritty. I think Ball State came out and threw their best punches, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Really put pressure on Auburn early to kind of just make them take the game from them. I like that attitude. I like that mentality from Coach U and company. And I would love to see the offense, a little more opportunistic with the defense, giving them ops. I wanted to see them kind of capitalize on more things. They did get down in the red zone, I think, once and got 3 points out of it. But honestly, I thought it was a really gritty matchup for us. It showed a lot of character from our team going into the MAC play and the rest of the season. So I was excited. I mean, the score is what the score was. We kind of anticipated that happening, but at the end of the day, you can't put a handle on like what the performance is going to look like. And I thought Ball State put their best foot forward. They fought hard, and this is a game they can learn from. This was kind of the quote unquote drop your nuts game. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
a big SEC opponent. Auburn's tough. They come from a tradition of football. This is Southern football in Alabama of all states. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I thought it was a good matchup for us. I thought we fought hard, and it was some good things I saw out there.
Yeah, great. I thought the same thing. I thought there was some noticeable improvements. I'm sure we'll get through in the show here from last week against Purdue to this week. But Colin, what were kind of your key takeaways or key impressions from the game last night?
Yeah, I mean the the smallest thing I can ask for is, did we improve upon last week? And I think we did. Um, the game against Auburn in almost every quarter felt like it was a little bit better than the same quarter we had against Purdue. So even though, first quarter Purdue and first quarter Auburn were both 14-14 at the close, for some reason it felt a little bit better. The defense felt a little bit sturdier. They weren't getting quite as much this game. So I was happy to see that. And while it's not the result we want, obviously, I just like to see the improvement each week. And then we can go from there. New Hampshire, we're gonna expect to win. So this, okay, we performed decently enough for now, ends here. So we got to really sack up, and it's time to go crazy. But I think with the progression that we're seeing, I think next year next week we should look even better, John.
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of one of the key things. I have a couple impressions as well that I'll kind of get through real quick, and that's kind of one of them. Is that you mentioned it? We're expecting now at this point. We've been through these big tests. We've been through these big, money games as they call them. From here on out, there's really no more excuses on this schedule. We here on the show have kind of said, everyone pump the brakes. No, don't overreact to these two games. There's a big talent gap. From here on out, we're going to have like competition teams on the schedule. So you're not going to hear that from me anymore. I'm not going to try and overreact or go crazy. But from here on out, we got to see some stuff. We got to see consistently improvement, even bigger gaps than we saw yesterday. In terms of like individual type performances from position groups and stuff, I thought we saw another pretty solid effort from the defensive line in terms of pressuring the quarterback. Like last week, we were moving Ryan Brown a lot for Purdue. We weren't really getting to him and sacking him, but we were making him move. He wasn't able to just stand around. Last night, they got to Jackson Arnold. They got 5 or 6 sacks on him. I did like that. I saw slight improvements in the passing game. I feel like we were able to complete a handful more passes last night than we were against Purdue, but it's still lacking that consistent, dangerous attack that people are really going to have to be worried about. Number 2, one thing that regressed this week compared to last week, we were a little sloppy with the ball. We weren't holding on to the ball as much or putting it on the ground some. Can't have that, especially in a big game like that, if you want to find a way to pull out the upset. And last thing, boys, you can do a lot of things in this world, but you do not shut out the Ball State Cardinals 2 weeks in a row. Not going to happen. So we did get on the scoreboard, which is obviously an improvement. So obviously final score 42-3, the win for the Auburn Tigers. I do believe based on that, Ball State did cover the spread and they did not give up the over. So everyone who followed that on our show last week, we got it completely wrong. So shout out to us. We're not gambling experts by any means, but we'll give out hot takes whenever we can. So was there any key, Willie, we'll go back to you here. Did you notice any key turning points in the game where maybe Ball State was able to grab some momentum for a little bit, or maybe Ball State had some momentum and they kind of gave it away for maybe any like key things that stuck out in your mind?
Yeah, I think at one point it was like 14-0 for like almost 2 quarters. And I think it was because the defense, like I said before, was very opportunistic. The front seven was putting pressure on Arnold. And I think they were just going to kind of like put an air show out there for their first home game. And I think, the front seven of Ball State really gave Ball State opportunities on offense. And like you said, the turnovers, the fumbles, I don't think that kind of hurt us. I thought there was chances where we could have closed the gap a little bit, but the front seven for Ball State really stepped up. And I mean, there was chances before that halftime where it was just like, man, like if it was just like, another second, or maybe if he did this or kept 2 hands on the ball, it's like just little moments in the game that really make a difference when we're talking about, 14-7 or 14-14. It's those one plays that really make the difference. So I think it was the whole first half that really showed me it's like, hey, this team's really got some fight to them. And it was just like 1 or 2 plays, and I thought, John, they could really capitalize on those if they continue to mature in their scheme on an offensive standpoint and really keep growing from this. I think there's a lot of meat on the bone that they left out there last night.
Yeah. And then you hope, like you said, you hope they're able to learn from those. And then when they're playing these, New Hampshires, Yukons, these MAC teams, that now they've seen what that situation is like and they're able to really capitalize on it. That's, a pretty good learning opportunity, I think. Colin, what about you? Any key turning points that you noticed?
Yeah, I've got one. The fumble in the 30-yard line by Kyle Kelly on the play where he was coming back, he had the ball, he went to throw it, and then whoop. the ball just flew up,
Mhm.
and then they called it a fumble after review. That one really hurt because we were already almost in field goal range, and that would have been the first points of the game. It was just a day full of, fumbles, honestly, just like
Mhm.
unsecure ball protection, particularly from Kyle Kelly, which we got to have that cleaned up. When we were talking about the interior line, D line, the other thing I wanted to point to too, John, was Adam Salt, who
Mhm.
might have possibly broken a record for the most yardage and punts for Ball State. So we got to give him a little bit of a shout out. And then how we said everything was just maybe marginally better. I have to include the kicking game too, John.
Yep, true.
Even though it didn't look absolutely beautiful, that kick that he had that got the points on the board, it landed. That's what we need. We need to see that continue. So I was happy to see that as well.
Yeah, and you're talking about the fumbles, obviously the kind of the empty it was ruled incomplete pass at first, they changed it. Um, we also got away with one. They kind of
Yeah.
they stopped his forward progress. It did not seem like that was the case. It seemed like that was a fumble as well. So we kind of got away with an extra one there. It's not going to go on the stat sheet, but yeah, it's
I feel like
definitely
they
something.
owed us. I feel like they owed us that one from that
Okay.
fumble that looked like a throw.
Hmm.
Because his arm was definitely
Yeah.
going forward, and the ball. I can see where they could be like, but his arm was going forward. Forward motion was there, incomplete pass. So I feel
Hmm.
like they did owe us one because that, like I said, that was one too where I was like, that was probably a fumble. Because forward progress. You
Yeah.
know.
Now, as fans, we kind of always get into the conspiracy of owing people stuff, like in terms of the refs. Owen is like, "Hey, that's a bad call. You owe us this." Is that something that players think too? Is that a real thing that kind of comes up? Is it like the refs are like, "Hey, man, we missed that one. We'll kind of get it back," or how does that ever come up with the refs to you guys?
It never comes up, but it's something like you kind of key in on. Like as the game was going on, I see the refs like, there was some bad calls and there was some shaky calls, but as the game goes on, it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, they owed us that one for sure.
Kind of like an unspoken type thing. Okay, I got you. All right, let's kind of jump in. Call on. Go ahead.
Real quick, I got a question for Willie. One thing I noticed in the game yesterday, and I noticed this on my own football team that I'm coaching on. I want to know why it happens, Willie. A good play will happen for Ball State. Say we get the fumble recovery, right? And then immediately right after we have a bad play that happens. Why does it happen like that so often? I don't know if it's just is it the lack of discipline? Is it just getting too high? Uh, I I don't know, Willie. What is the reason for the propensity for a team to make a mistake after they have a good play, a huge play?
To be honest, I think it's just having the mindset that it's going to happen, and when it happens, we're going to go down the field and score and make the most of it, or capitalize on that opportunity. And that goes back to like practices and just the mentality of guys have. It's just like we expect our defense to give us a play. It's not like, oh snap, like oh we got the ball now. Oh I can't believe this happened. You know what I'm saying? It's like the mindset to go down there and make a play and be like, oh yeah, we finna get in here now. Like we got to do it now. It's the mindset at the end of the day. And I think guys get caught off guard. Like there was some plays, that the Ball State defense made against Auburn. It was just like, whoa, okay, all right. Like you probably weren't expecting that. I bet most of those guys on the offensive sideline weren't expecting it as much either. And when they went out there, they just in the mindset weren't ready to attack. Like you have to attack teams at that moment. Like, yeah, we got to take advantage of this opportunity. And I mean, I'll just speak from when we were playing like at Ball State. It's like when our defense, we knew our defense had swag. We knew our defense had dudes that were going to take the ball away. So when that happens, we got to play complementary football. Like we got to go out there and we got to put up points because if we want to win the game, that's the only way we can do it. And that's really the biggest thing is just the mindset, Adam. It's like really going out there and taking advantage of that op and making sure that the defense knows that when they get plays like that, when they get turnovers like that, we're gonna make the most of it.
Okay. Um, While we jump in, we'll kind of get more like hyper focus on a couple things here. Now let's jump onto the offense. So obviously, Willie, you've always basically been an offensive player throughout your whole life, pretty much. Obviously, done it in college, done it at the NFL level. So offensively, if we're looking at the quarterback, you work with the quarterbacks. I mean, that's how you make your money. You catching those balls, you catching everything from the quarterback. So, what do you think Kyle Kelly's performance yesterday, in terms of either improvements from the Purdue game, in terms of maybe comments on like like we were talking about the fumbles, just kind of your overall thoughts on Kyle's game yesterday.
To be honest, I thought Kyle just needed to play within himself. I think there was times where he just was shaking a little bit, or he just was a little nervous about the pass rush. It's tough playing a team like Auburn. It's an SEC opponent. I never played an SEC opponent when I was at Ball State. We played Oklahoma my freshman year, and I know like the stadium, when it's rocking like that, it's the first home game of the year. There's a lot of elements that could, shake a quarterback if he's not mentally prepared for that environment. But to be honest, I thought he made plays when he had to. I mean, it wasn't a lot. I want to see him protect the ball a little bit more. Just having two hands on the ball, not trying to do too much. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can only expect so much. He hasn't played consistent quarterback play for the past 2 years. He's in a new scheme. He's in a rocking stadium as the Auburn Tigers. They had the War Eagle flying down in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the game. Like, they are rocking. So it's like, when you put all those things together, it's like, you want to see him do more. You want to see him capitalize on those opportunities. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be too hard on him because of everything that's going on. But at the end of the day, it's like you expect him to make more plays. He's a senior. This is his last go around. You want to see him do more just for his legacy, for the team, just kind of something to build on Coach Hughes' legacy because he believes in him. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted him back this year. So it's like him taking hold of the reins on the offensive side of the ball, really being accountable for everything that's going on, and just learning from this opportunity. Not really looking down on himself, but learning how this is the best defense he's going to see all year. Like, take advantage of this film study and really go to work, And New Hampshire should be a game where it's just like he goes out there and just goes crazy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Mm-hmm.
play with teams like this. You take it from them like Auburn took it from us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the
Mm-hmm.
mentality you have to have. And that's what I want to see from Kelly this week. It's just attack the process, come out here on next Saturday, and really just let loose. Because this is gonna be his coming out game, first home game. You know, first game where he's not playing a Power Four school. It's like he's not on the road dealing with the environment. So it's like now you're in their element. Now you've played two games against two rocking opponents. Now it's time to capitalize. Now it's time to build on what you want to leave for Ball State legacy. So that's kind of like what I have for Kelly. I'm not gonna be too hard on, but I do expect more from him going forward. And yesterday he didn't do the best protecting the football. I get it. He's got to be able to do that better. That's where I think he can improve on the most. Is just protecting the football, not putting the ball in harm's way, and just really making better decisions in terms of what he's doing with the football, whether he's throwing or running. He's got legs, man. He can run, dude. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen him run. Like, he's an athlete. I think they need to take advantage more of his legs and just utilizing that so he can be more comfortable in the passing game.
Colin, I'm going to kick it to you here in a second. I want to get your thoughts on the running backs. But Willie, I had one more question about something that you had brought up. You're talking about these rocking environments. Um, from what I recall, when me and you were in school, obviously you said we played Oklahoma, and I remember us going to Clemson. Clemson game was during the day. Oklahoma game was at night. How much of a difference is playing these big time schools and these big time environments at night, like Ball State did last night at Auburn, as opposed to a day game? Is there much of a difference, or is it just kind of craziness no matter what?
It's really craziness no matter what. Like, during the noon game, like, you're dealing with the crowd because either way, during the day or at night, the crowd is going to be going crazy.
Hmm.
Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, when we're talking Clemson, Oklahoma football, like, that's the gods of football and college football. You know what I'm saying? So like the morning games, you had to deal with the heat. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like, it was the heat of the day is just like beating you up, and then like by the third, fourth quarter, guys are cramping, guys are tapping out. Like, now you're playing third, fourth string guys that were like big eyes going against Clemson. You know what I'm saying? And then Oklahoma, like, it's nighttime. It feels good out there, but at the same time, you got the lights on, the stadium is full, packed. You got the cannons going, and every time they make a big play, you just hear the crowd roar, and you gotta find a way to settle that down. It's pretty tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, those two environments, I really appreciate playing them because it just gave me a real college football experience and a real feel of what it is to play in college football. So either way, John, you got to deal with both of the elements,
Hmm.
whether that's the crowd or the heat. But yeah, like, either way, you're gonna get hit over the head by that crowd, man, because they get loud, they get tough, it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it gets real crazy out there.
Yeah. So Colin, one of the key strengths to this team, we think, is going to be running the ball in this running back room. It seemed like, if we're talking about not regression necessarily, but in terms of production, there was not nearly as much production last week from the running backs as they were to this week. Colin, do you attribute that just to Auburn and just what their defense did, or was there anything that you noticed that maybe the
Yeah.
running backs could have done better last night to kind of up the yardage, that output they had?
Yeah, one of Auburn's best players on the defense is Keldrick Falk. He's going to be a D end and possibly top 10 draft pick type of guy. So he definitely made his presence known. Their defensive front seven in general, I thought was pretty stout, pretty good, played pretty well. Our run game couldn't get anything going. Didn't matter if it was Quay Ashley, didn't matter if it was Elijah Jackson, didn't matter if it was Kyle Kelly. Unfortunately, I felt like Quay Ashley took a lot of huge hits.
Yep.
Whether it was coming out of the backfield, turn around to catch a pass, and Kyle throws him a hospital ball, or if it's just literally running out and someone comes up to smack him. Kickoff return, he was taking big hits. Another thing I was considering too while I was watching the game. I'm not sure if it's the best idea to have our running back as a kick returner against Auburn, and then have him get injured in the game. Like, I don't know who you put in there. You don't want Keon Magwood to get injured either, but I just really noticed that during the game that we had him in an uncomfortable position, um, getting a lot of wear and tear on his body, and we're going to need him for the rest of the season. Quay Ashley's a dog. We just have yet to see it this season. As far as Kyle Kelly goes, though, Willie touched on it a bit, but I just want to touch on it a little bit more because his stats from the last two games, John, 10 of 16 against Purdue for 87 yards, an average of 5.4 yards with a long of 37, a pass, but that was kind of like a dump off
A
that
little like shovel pass
they
type thing.
yeah, yep. He did take 4 sacks, but then this most recent game, John, I think might have been worse, and that makes sense with Auburn's defense being a little better. 10 of 16, 71 yards, 4.4 average, a long of 16, but with 6 sacks taken. So we got to get rid of the sack. We can't just sit back there and not have. I think I need Kyle Kelly to throw it away. But the problem is, and we're going to see this, Willie. I sent John a couple clips. There's just no time. Sometimes Auburn is sending 4 guys on the front and then 2 backers, and he just has no. There's no wide receivers even looking at him, Willie. We're going to see this, but we've got to figure out a way. If it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, maybe even 3rd and 9. I know that's a tough number to get, but we have to figure out a way to get quick passes off, like just 9-yard routes, and boom, just have them like turn around because they're going too far out, and Kyle Kelly does not have the time to get them a long ball. So I don't know really how exactly we game plan that, but a game plan's got to be done ASAP because this can't happen against New Hampshire. I think the fans are already getting a little frustrated. They're clamoring for better quarterback play, and I think Kyle Kelly has that. I'm confident in him, but we have to see it this week, John.
Yeah, you're talking about Quay Ashley taking big hits. If you'll remember, and Willie, you definitely probably remember this. Friend of the show, great friend of the show, Juwan Edwards. He took a massive shot when we played Oklahoma, and thankfully he didn't get hurt either. But yeah, these guys can take some big hits. They're obviously different level defenders in these Big 12 and SEC teams. They're going to hit you hard and they're going to hit you fast. So one thing before Willie, we can't go through this whole segment here and not have you talk about the wide receivers. Obviously, we have a expert in the wide receiver field. So notice anything from the wide receivers last night that stood out to you? Maybe either good or bad. Obviously, we didn't have a ton of passing yards last night, but what stood out to you when you watched those guys play?
I think for me, it was just taking advantage of the moment. There weren't many moments like you just spoke on, but when the time came, they made the play. I didn't really see many drops. It's one of those things where it's just like you got to take advantage. You got to take the most of when it comes. And like you said, we're playing a tough team like Auburn's defense. There weren't many opportunities. They were bringing the house. Kyle didn't have too much time to make a throw, but like you said, Adam, I think we got to take advantage of the screen game. We got to do quick game more. We got to get these receivers out in space, man. Whatever that looks like, throwing a screen here and there, get a hitch going, a slant. Get get Kelly into a rhythm sooner than later. Like, get the passes out now. Like, don't let him wait back there. Don't do drop back. Like, especially when the run game isn't strong. Like, when the run game is going, it's easier to throw the ball because now you got the defense stepping up. You got them coming up closer to the line of scrimmage, which opens up play action, which opens up deeper shots down the field. We just haven't seen many of those opportunities yet, at least from my point of view. I haven't seen it yet. So it's hard to put like a grade on the receivers, but when I do see them get the ball, I see guys that are shifty. I see guys that can catch the ball well. When they're in space, they know what to do with the football, and that's what I think I'm most eager to see coming up next two games is how the receiver play improves when Kelly does have time because he will have time. He will have opportunities to make the throws. But when that happens, are the receivers being explosive? Are they yak boys? Are they running after the catch? Like that's what we need to see, and that's what I'm eager to see. And I just haven't. I wasn't able to like really grasp it last night.
Mm-hmm.
There was opportunities here and there off of scramble mode. The guy made a play, and they were like, I think it was like third and long. He made a catch, was like short of the fourth down. But it's like those opportunities. It's just like we got to be able to offensively, we got to get in the rhythm early. Screens, quick game, just throw a hitch out there. If guys playing 10 yards off, just spit it out there to him in space. Let him do his thing. So I really hope that offensively, they watch the tape, they see where the openings, where they can be better at, and really just challenge these receivers. Hey, let's get our guys out in space so we can widen the box a little bit and then create lanes, to run through up front.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed too, Willie, about how they were playing us, they'd have 4 or 5 guys on the D line, and since we weren't taking like long shots, they'd have their linebackers really, really close to where the D line was, just kind of lingering to see if we were going to read option or Kyle Kelly was going to take off. Then boom, we had basically 7, 8 guys in the box just ready to hit Kyle Kelly because we weren't taking those long shots. You can't win like that. It was just it's not going to be it's we have to be able to get some long passes, I feel like. Otherwise, they're just going to key in on the read option game.
Yeah, most of the shots come from like just like I said, like running the football. Like you come off a play action, the guys starting to get greedy in the backfield, and then you hit them over the top. And I feel like those plays will come in time, but we got to be able to run the football. And like you said, it wasn't many opportunities. Like the running backs are taking some big shots early, kind of probably get them away from the run a little bit and then more favor towards the pass. But at the end of the day, you got to continue to run. You got to continue to have a good run scheme so that when we want to see these big shots, they're going to come, but you can't. They're not going to come against an SEC opponent against these corners when they know it's time to pass the football, right? And these guys are close to line scrimmage. They're trying to create confusion for the front. Where's the point? Where are they going? Where are they blocking to? And then here comes the house. So it's a lot going through the quarterback's mind when he's thinking about the crowd, when he's thinking about the line of scrimmage, like who's coming, who's not, trying to get on the same page with the noise. I feel the frustration, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna watch the film. I'm gonna grade them how they were opportunistic when they did have the opportunities. When Kyle didn't have like somebody in his face, probably 50, 60% of the time. Like those are the plays I want to grade and see where we can get better at. And then we'll work off the other stuff. But I think those games are coming. It's just so hard to grade with these two first games with Power Four schools and the season just starting. They definitely got their feet wet now, so there's no excuse anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
this week coming up, they got to show us who the real Ball State is. Can they please stand up because we're ready to see them?
Yep. Anyone out there listening right now, if you want to join the conversation, either you got some questions for Willie, Colin, or I, you got comments just about what you've seen so far, be sure to put them in the chat wherever you're watching, either on YouTube, on Twitter/X, or on Instagram. And we have one comment here I'll go ahead and throw up right now. This comment came from live from inside Lucas Oil Stadium right now. I know he's in there getting ready to work for the Dolphins and Colts game later. But this is our friend Jeremy Bryant. He said, let the real season begin. That's kind of what we've been saying here. Let's see how we fare in games where we aren't overmatched in every position. And obviously, we've kind of talked about that. Really tough to judge these games. I mean, obviously, you want to see good things out of them. We want to see more good things than bad, but really tough to see kind of how that gets. So, yep, Jeremy, we agree. Hopefully next week we're able to really see, like Willie said, Willie put it very poignantly, will the real Ball State please stand up? I like it. So let's jump into the defense here. Will, I mean, my lighting is here. I'm on a road game here today, boys. My lighting is killing me here. I'm trying to get it figured out, but let's jump into defense here. So obviously, I think we all kind of agreed that pressure that we saw this week getting after Jackson Arnold was a very good thing. But it seemed like Auburn's offense was very balanced. Looked like they had about 271 yards passing and 224 yards rushing. A lot of rushing yards. But is there anything outside of the defensive line that you liked yesterday, Willie, from what you saw throughout the game?
Yeah, I thought the linebacker play was pretty good. They were fast and downhill to the football. That's what you want to see out of your linebackers. I referenced my homeboy, old roommate Travis Freeman. I feel like he was you know, the poster child for what a linebacker looks like. Aggressive downhill, and I thought I saw that from our linebackers yesterday, which made it difficult for Auburn to get anything going. They filled the gaps well. The corner play, I think you have to be tricky with these games because they got so much talent on the other side of the ball. You don't want to give up anything deep. But I would like to see our corners challenge guys at the line of scrimmage a little bit more. Not to give up just those 10 yards of space and just let them throw a hitch and let their playmakers go to work on us. That's tough for any DB to come downhill and make a play on a guy who's like a 4 or 5 star guy and make the play on him. But I think if we come up from the corner play and challenge a little bit at the line of scrimmage, one, it will give the defensive line more time to get to the quarterback and it'll rush the Q. And when they do that, instead of them having so much space to work, when you got people in your face, man, you got to see them work. You got to put pressure on people. And I just don't think we put any pressure on Auburn's outside guys. But that's what I would like to see. I like to see the corner play challenge guys at the line of scrimmage. And I think if they do that, the defense will be more complete because the front seven is nasty. Like, I like what I'm seeing these first 2 games. I just want to see the corner play, the outside guys, be able to have the confidence, the coaching staff have the confidence for guys to come up, challenge people, and really make it tough on, the skill players for other teams to be like, hey, when they watch the film, they're going to see so much space, but when they come out on game day, let's be in their face. Let's talk some noise. Let's get a little swagger in the defensive back room because that's what I want to see. Because when I was playing, that was the strongest group out of our defense most of the time, even though D line will beg to differ. On all 3 levels, I think DBs had enough swag to be like, hey, if our defensive line gets there, we're going to be an opportunistic bunch and we're going to make the play on the football in the air.
Mhm. Colin, what did you see out of the defense besides the defensive line that you liked or you didn't like yesterday?
Yeah, Willie nailed it. I think if you can't talk about the D line on defense, you got to go immediately to the linebackers. And then after the linebackers, of course, Joey Stimler made some big plays. Smoke Johnson had a sack. He was kind of flying around. Dewan Eccles was someone I had no idea who he was that really flashed on the screen for me a couple times. Even chasing down players, not giving up on balls. One thing I really noticed about the D, and this is kind of a positive for me in the future. A lot of the times they scored, it was just missed assignments, and it wasn't like they're really needling the ball down the field. They'd get maybe a 2 yard gain, then a 1 yard gain, boom, 60-yard touchdown pass or something, or a 30-yard, 40-yard touchdown run. So if we limit those big explosive plays in the future, I think our defense will be good because I don't think Auburn really just owned us the whole time. It was just those big plays, and when they popped, they got touchdowns on them. So I think if we limit those big explosive plays, we'll be okay, John.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Colin, I'll definitely agree with you on that. Like, probably 14, 21 points of Auburn's play was just off of blown assignments or like not being on the same page. I saw DBs like looking at each other, like hands up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you see that on screen, it's like, it's not good right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they eliminate those, we're looking at a, 7-0 game going into halftime. It's like the defense was gritty, and I think it was just like you said, those blown assignments really just kind of separated, on the scoreboard at least, like where people think about, Ball State's like, oh, look at the score, but hey, when you look at the tape, like defensively, like there was some blown assignments, and I think if we fix those going into the week, I think we see a way better defensive performance out of our guys.
Exactly. Okay. Special teams. I know we touched on a couple points special teams wise so far, but 2 things I wanted to note, and then if you guys had anything else, feel free to jump in as well. Number one, obviously Adam Saul was able to flip the field a few times. They were backed up a couple times. He was able to get some punts, get some good rolls out of them. Obviously, there's a little bit of a factor with the punt not being fielded there, but we'll take that where we can get it. Like 467 something punting yards. I don't think it's actually the record. I think I was looking up this morning. I think that's still with Brad Maynard, but still a shocking large number to see. So he's able to flip the field for us some. That's a good thing. And then obviously Carson Holm improved from last week to this week. I mean, like Colin and I have said before, when you evaluate kickers, it seems pretty easy to me personally. The kick either goes in or it doesn't. Obviously, there's some timing and everything, but this week the kicks went in. Last week they didn't. So I like that. Was there anything else you guys noticed with the special teams game that stood out to you?
Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, I just got one other thing for special teams wise, John. The week of Purdue, we kind of noticed some fielding mistakes, whether it be punt or kickoff return. And I think they really cleaned that up. And I think specialist wise and special teams in general, I felt a lot better about this week as well. And I'd even go as far to say it wasn't just marginally. I think it would, significantly. I think the special teams play looked a lot better, John.
Yeah, I thought the punts were really good. I think I mentioned this to you, John, before the half. Like Auburn was like up 21 or up a big amount, and they were calling timeouts and like really trying to stop so they can get the
Yeah.
ball. And when the punter punt the ball, he flipped the whole field, and then they just decided to knee the ball, no timeout. So I think that was a really good, job by the punt team, just really flipping the field and making sure Auburn didn't try to run up the score on them because I feel like that's what they were really trying to do, trying to give the offense another opportunity to go down the field and score because the defense was stopping them. I think it was embarrassing for Auburn how they didn't light them up for like 35 points in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Ball State, dropped their nuts and they're like, "Nah, you're not about to play on us like this," And then at that point, the punt team was just like, they punt the ball, he flipped the field, like you said. It was a great performance, at least in the first half. And then, like you said, Colin, you chimed in on this earlier. I really think they need to find a returner other than our premier back to go get back there and field kickoff returns. I mean, they got to put a skill player back there, a faster, speedier guy. I remember when it was us, it was Jamil Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the biggest guy, but he was quick, he was elusive, he was fast. So I feel like they need to put somebody back there that they're not going to rely on as much, especially like in the run game. You don't want your running back taking more shots than he needs to. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a stud. You want to put somebody back there who's faster, more elusive and quicker. To be able to take up seams. But you just don't want your bigger running back, taking shots. I would never put Juwan back there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not what we want to do. So I would like to see improvement on, finding a more suitable returner so our running back isn't taking, shots like that because he did take some shots that I did not like. But everything else I thought was solid play. I don't think there was anything glaring on the special team side where it was just, they gave up points, they gave up field position. I think it was just more of, them taking advantage of the opportunity, flipping the field when they had to, and making sure Auburn didn't get easy field position for them to go down the field and score on us.
Perfect. Colin, I want to go a little bit out of order here. I want to jump into the film room now. Okay.
Okay.
I want you to tell me which of these. So Colin has some plays like we saw last week that he wants to break down. Obviously, we have an expert now, even more so than
Right.
Colin with Willie Snead here. So Willie can kind of give us some insights as what Colin sees as well. But Colin, you tell me which play you would like to see first.
Pull up the Auburn, too much Auburn in the second half. I just want to start with that first play that I saw on there. Full screen if you can, John. And then what I like to do is just play the play one time, and then we'll break it down afterwards here.
Okay.
Watch the top though.
That's not going to work. Kelly in trouble trying to get out of it. Ball is out.
Yeah, rewind it, John. Rewind it.
All the
First
way?
thing I noticed on that, yeah, all the way. So the guy at the very top here, we've got a wing with I think it's Max Webster here. He leaves the block for Quay Ashley, but I don't know that Quay Ashley knows he's leaving the block for him. Now my question for Willie, because Willie, you are the expert here. Does Kyle Kelly, is he supposed to know that guy is coming off the left side there? Or is that just a mistake by our wing and our backer or a miscommunication between them not talking to each other about what has to happen on this play? Rewind it one more time, John, and then let Willie see it. But
Okay.
Willie, look at the top of that line there. The guy on the D line at the top. Nobody, and then Quay goes the other way on a read or like an RPO there, so it's not supposed to be Quay. What do you think?
My bad, my mic was muted.
Mm.
I think it was a play action play, to be honest. I think from what I see, if I put myself in Kelly's shoes, he's supposed to roll out to the left. So I think he got spooked by the DN coming up the field as fast as he did. I bet they were trying to think that the DN was going to slam down on the running back, and then Kyle would boot out to the left. Because from the slot receiver, you can see he was going in and back out, which tells me it was a rollout to the left.
Ooh.
So what I would like to see Kelly do here is beat that defender. Now, I don't know if it's that DN that you said is a potential first round pick. So
Mhm.
that's a tall task, but I've seen LJ Lamar Jackson in this position so many times. You want to see Kelly get to the left, get to the play side instead of going to the right where all the defenders are going to be, and you're going to get your head snapped off. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is meant to roll out to the left, play action, roll out to the left, get your guy in the flat. But Kelly got spooked by the DN coming up the field so fast. I think it just like surprised him, and he just tried to make a miss and make something out of nothing. But you really want to see Kelly roll to the left here because everybody's going to the right. Obviously you're gonna on plays like that, you're gonna leave one guy open. You're hoping that the DN crashes down on the run so hard that you're able to boot out. So that's what you really want to see from Kelly. There's just really try to defeat him to the play side. So at least you have your receivers, coming across the field, whether it's an over route or a backside post, something that you can find. But that's what I really see, Colin, is just this is meant to roll out to the left. That DN was probably meant to be unblocked, hoping that he would crash down on the run game. But the DN just went up the field and he spooked Kelly. And, Kelly, that's where we talk about protecting the football and really protecting yourself. You don't want to put yourself in those type of positions where you're taking big shots because at the end of the day, it's like, you want to protect the ball, but then you also have to protect yourself, because you don't want to see, you don't want to see him take any big hits like that.
Mhm.
All right, Colin, which one do you want next?
Yeah, let's see. Heat-seeking missile. That's the last one.
Never, you never want to have a defender described as heat-seeking missile. That's usually not a good thing.
Yeah,
Okay, right here.
it's the sack play.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
just play the play first, and then Willie, look, watch. They're gonna send the backers on this.
So there's seven. This is cover zero right here. Somebody has to win quick. So like I really want to see like offensively when you see this cover zero look. Cover zero is when they're blitzing the house. Like they're blitzing linebackers, and you only see one safety at top. And when there's no linebacker play, they're sending the house. That's cover zero. So at some point, like I don't know if they're this deep into the scheme yet, but you want to check to a cover zero beater. You want to see a quick slant so you can get the receiver in play. You want to just get Kelly the something quick. Get the ball out of his hands. Don't let him develop something where it's an outbreaking round. He's got to make a long throw that's in the air forever. And here comes the DB pick six in it. You know, that's what I see right there is just a cover zero. We're sending the house. What are you going to do? That's where you want to see a slant, a quick play, a screen. Because look at the slot right here. Like they're about 10 yards off almost. You just want to see something quick, a little quick slant right there. Get your guy the ball in space, make the guy miss, and you never know what happens. Like, look how much space is in the middle, dude. Like you can't tell me number three runs
Right.
a quick slant. All of them run slants. Really, just look at the safety. He's running out of there. That's too much space in there for them not to take advantage of. Or even the backside. Yeah, he's pressed, but if he runs like a one-step slant or something like that, just quick, so Kelly can look, get the ball of his hands, and I bet you, Colin, they do not run that shit anymore because excuse my language, but they will not do that because when you beat it once, defensive coordinators do not do it again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is really on the scheme of the offense. This is on the coaching staff. They got to see this and they got to be able to capitalize on these moments because when you get these looks, we got athletes in space. Like number three is a great, run after the catch type of guy. It's like you want to get those guys opportunities like this. Like this is the stuff we drool for as receivers. You know what I'm saying? All that space in there. You know, we just got to take advantage of those cover zero looks. And I know the outcome 21. It's the second half. It's the second quarter right here. It's almost over. But like you never know, man. One guy misses, take it to the house.
Take it all the way. Yeah, and John, if you move that arrow just a little bit forward till we can't really see the wide receivers, Eric Weatherly is going to run like a 10 and out here. And
Yeah.
other than that, nobody is even looking. And by the time he's already running that 10 and out, Kyle Kelly's hit here. So it's
Yeah.
like they need something fast, like Willie's saying. I would never have thought, John, when I play college football 26 and I see they're bringing blitz and I hit that X button, audible, I'm looking at the play, it's inside zone or slants. How do I have more control of the team on college football 26 than Kyle Kelly does in real life? Get him those same options so he can ball out just like I am.
There you go.
Facts.
All right, you had one more thing here, Colin.
Yeah. One more. No. That one was just a stat, John. That was just a stat.
Oh,
But
okay.
I do want to talk about the tournament, John, if we could get into that a little bit.
Oh,
Just
well, hold
I've
on.
got
We'll
to
get
eat a little crow here.
Yeah, we'll get to that here. I
Okay.
want to we'll come back to that at the end. We got a couple more things to get to
Okay.
first. But anyone out there, we've got a good amount of comments coming in now. Anyone out there listening on YouTube, on X, on Instagram, please get in any questions or comments you have for any of us, and we will read them here at the end of the show. Willie, before we kind of jump into our post game, like kind of last final thoughts of things, I wanted to get a couple questions about you from your expertise to being a leader for Ball State football, playing in the NFL for so long. In these tough road game environments, as a leader of the team, what is kind of like your message before, during, and after the game to really kind of keep everything in perspective and not really kill confidence? Because obviously, more often than not, when a MAC team goes into an SEC opponent house for a night game, it doesn't usually go very well. So, what do you say as a leader to kind of keep things in check for everyone and make sure, like, hey, we can't let this define the season?
Yeah, you just gotta be, real about the situation. You gotta be real about who you're playing, and you gotta be able to move forward. Because there's a reason you play these games at the beginning of the year. You got a long road ahead of you, and you can't dwell on these type of games. Like for me, when we went into road environments like this, it's like you gotta have the mentality like I'm gonna get mine today. Like I'm gonna be the tone setter. And I don't think there was a real tone setter last night to be able to say like, get the swagger, get the juice flowing for the team. And I know when we went up to Virginia, which is an ACC opponent,
Mm-hmm.
like we had the mentality like we are going to go in here and we're going to try to take over, and that's the mentality until they show us otherwise. You know what I'm saying? And it's all starts mentally for the guys in there. It's like before the game, during the game, after the game, mentality wise, where are you? To where you're not checking out, you're not beating yourself up, you're not looking at yourself too hard and being like, I didn't think this. No, it's like you're gonna grow from this. Our guys are gonna grow from this. You're gonna get better from it, and I hope they have that mentality to be able to attack this week and be able to take it to New Hampshire like Auburn took it to us. It's like that's the mentality we want to have, and they will be able to significantly grow from that. And moving forward, I just think guys just really need to take a hard look at the tape. They got to be able to fix the little things. Capitalize on the opportunities on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we got to fix the mistakes. We can't have blown coverages and give up easy layups like that. That makes it even harder. You want to be able to challenge teams. You got to play your best ball. You got to put your best foot forward when you're playing teams like this, and not get spooked by the environment or the opponent and the helmet or the brand they have on their helmet, so to speak. At the end of the day, it's like I like what our guys did. They challenged them. If we fix the mistakes, the little things, um, I think we're looking at a different score, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we had enough dog and grit in our guys to where they came out ready to play. But it's hard to beat a team like that when you beat yourself at the same time.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll kind of start putting a pin in Auburn, and we'll start to look forward a little bit to New Hampshire here. But I just want one. I don't know if we want to call it chirp because we already do 3 chirps of the week before the game. But one kind of takeaway, one like hot take or lesson learned or a bold prediction for New Hampshire or something you took away from Auburn. Kind of one more thing that you wanted to get off your chest here before we jump into the listener questions. Colin, what's maybe like one more thing you kind of wanted to reiterate here before we move and let the people take the floor?
Yeah, I feel bad for you guys. This is the easy one, but the D line is back. It's been a while since we've seen that kind of pressure, getting multiple sacks in a game against a really good team like that. And I think how the total game went undersold that performance a little bit, but we should be able to see that against Ohio. We should be able to see that against Western Michigan, against Kent, against Akron. The D line should be a really big strength this year, and I'm super excited for it.
All right, Willie, what about you?
I just want to see guys really take a hard look at the tape. We have guys who can play ball. Like Colin just said, the defensive line is going to be real this year, which is going to create opportunities on the back end. and it's going to give offenses more opportunities. When the D-line is playing well, that means, you want to make sure they're off the field as much as they can. You want to keep them fresh. You want to keep them ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see guys really capitalize on this week. Take a hard look at the tape, get better this week, and I really want to see a blowout against New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the expectation for me. I want to see like a 35 point separation. Don't play with them. Beat a mosquito with a hammer, like an old head used to say. It's like, don't play with them. Like, kill them where they stand. You know what I'm saying? Don't give them any confidence at the shoe. Don't give them any kind of life. That's what you don't want against these teams going forward. Because I bet if Auburn gave us life last night and we weren't making the mistakes that we made, I know we come out with a different like result in the end. Like, we put more pressure on them. If that makes sense. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So at the end of the day, I want to see this week, attack the film, and really come out against New Hampshire and kill a mosquito with a hammer.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's kind of goes right into my main takeaway from everything and getting ready for this next week. Like I reiterated at the beginning of the show, there's no more excuses on the schedule. There's no more, hey, we're playing Auburn, hey, we're playing Purdue, different level and talent. There's no more of that. Everyone else from here on out, obviously there's some good teams will play, some better teams. UConn and Ohio both look like they're pretty good right now, but there's no more excuses. This team has to perform from here on out, and they have to show that they're getting better, and we need to be able to see the results on the field. So let's jump into listener questions. We have a handful of them right here. Listener questions and comments, I should say. So we got to Jeremy's first one. Jeremy had another one earlier. He said he was very impressed with the defensive line. He kind of reiterated what we were going with there. Our friend Dave, I think this is David. He's BSU Edits on Instagram, but this is Lone Beach. You'll see him some other places. So he said, with Ohio playing the way they are, I think New Hampshire and UConn are pretty much must-win games now. What you think? And I know we talked about this, Colin, on the show last week. We kind of predicted that Ohio upset win over West Virginia, and that's exactly what happened. So with those two games coming up, with how Ohio looks, do you guys see New Hampshire and UConn as kind of must-wins for Ball State to inevitably go bowling, which is kind of the key for what everyone wants?
I wouldn't. Let's just put the pressure on them. Yes, they must be must wins. If we want to be 2-2 going into MAC play, that's the ideal situation, ideal scenario. New Hampshire, we should be able to do what we need to do, which will warm us up for UConn. Because UConn is a basketball school. When you ask me, they're not very football friendly. So we got to go out there to UConn and do our thing. We got to use the New Hampshire game as momentum to build off of that game. So I agree. This must be a must-win game for these two games for us to feel good going into MAC play 2-2 at 500.
What about you, Colin?
Yeah, John, I really want to get in on this one because New Hampshire is the epitome of a must-win game. If we do not win New Hampshire, we're going to have people clamoring for Kelly to maybe see a new quarterback in for Kelly. We're going to have people talking about Coach U. Is he the right guy? Is he over his head coming from FCS? This New Hampshire game will cool the seat, relax everybody, and then I agree with Willie. At that point, we're ready for UConn, and then it should be, at the very least, competitive. If it's not competitive, I think there's a problem. If there's another 42-3 game here, John, we're in for some trouble. But I think it'll be competitive, and that's, I think, the bare minimum. We cannot get blown out by a UConn, especially after winning New Hampshire. It would be great to get a win. I think we should get a win. I think we lead the series with UConn, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And Parker Navarro, like I said, top 20 QB of FBS, really underrated. So I'm hoping for an upset dub that day because I know Willie Snead's Hall of Fame ceremony is the day before, so I'm going to make sure I'm there. But yeah, we gotta be ready for Ohio, and that happens by crushing New Hampshire and then competing with UConn, and then making sure Ohio we come in hot.
Said it perfectly. I got a couple of comments here, and then we have one more question. So I'll kind of get through the comments quickly, and then we'll get to one more question where you can kind of dive in for a second. But David again said, "Hey, the sacks were huge. We've been kind of reiterating that as well. That's a good thing to see. If you can do that against Auburn, you should be able to do that against everyone else on the schedule."
Yeah.
Our friend Jeremy, get to work, man. We got an NFL game coming up here, but Jeremy wanted us to say he liked that we never gave up. I saw they were fighting throughout the game, never gave up. You can't, and he's saying you can't coach effort, which you can't. That's an individual thing that you put out there. So punter showing out. David wants
Yep.
Ball State to be punter U again. Brad Maynard back in the day, Scott Cavanda, some of these guys. David loves the punter, so David liked what he saw yesterday. And then our friend David Doherty, different David, on YouTube said 68 yards. That's like not showing up. Willie is right. Know what the D is doing and take advantage of it. The whole center of the field is open. The receiver's not looking. And then he said, agreed, punter and sacks were great to see. So it looks like the punter love and the defensive line was kind of where we were at yesterday. But one more question that we had from Jeremy. He said, oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Here it goes. Do you think Kyle Kelly has the authority to change the play at the line? I want to know how much trust the staff has in him at this time. So, Willie, obviously in the NFL, we know these guys kind of somewhat have free reign to kind of do what they see. Is that the same way in college, or is it a little bit different?
It's the same way, it's on the same way at every level. It's like having the trust between the coach and the quarterback to, the preparation. It's like what we're seeing, what they're showing, what do we want to take advantage of? It's those type of conversations that you're having with your quarterback so that when those opportunities come, you know what the hell you're doing and you can check to them in confidence, and make the play. And I don't think Kyle is there yet, to make those plays. And I don't know what his preparation looks like. I don't know what the meeting time looks like during the week, but those opportunities are going to show up again because when they put that stuff on tape and they don't handle it well, teams are going to continue to do that to them, whether that's a New Hampshire, whether that's a Ohio. Teams are going to see that all pressure blitz and see them not take advantage of it. Like I said, when we put on tape that we can destroy that type of look, they won't do it again. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about the preparation of Kelly throughout the week, the coaching staff trusting him that he can make those checks. And if he can't make those checks, the coaching staff has to put plays together where there's an outlet for the quarterback if the pressure does come. He knows, like, hey, this is my hot. I got to get the ball out right now. So, he at least protects himself, protects the ball, and can make an explosive out of an opportunistic play.
All right. Colin, so everyone out there, thank you for the listener questions. We appreciate them. You can send them in whenever you want, but obviously during the live show, we can react to them right then. But Colin, right before we wrap up, we only got like about 3 minutes left. Before you wrap up,
Yeah.
We were told by you that you were going to win this Ball State college football NCAA 26 tournament. You have an update for us of how this first week went.
Yeah. Yeah, I really did let the Union down here, guys. I played a major college football 26 nerd. His name was Correlate Elf 81.
Ooh.
I don't want to put his actual government name out there, but I played this gentleman. I ended up losing final score 42-30. I did get a safety kind of towards the end that made it look a little bit more palatable. But by the end there, he was just joking around. I do need to jump in real quick. EA College Football 26, fix the screen after the game because I lost 30-42. Couldn't even take a picture because it said 28-42. Like, I understand when I'm winning 363-3 and the score goes down to 268. Okay, I broke it. But college football 26, this is terrible. I only scored 30 points, and you don't even have 30 points on the board. Couldn't even take a picture for the thing. But one thing just real quick, John, how I know this guy was good. On defense, like, you jump around from the linebacker to the secondary, from the lineman. That's how you know somebody's really good. Like, they know how to use all those positions. But when he's on offense, I think our defense was similar. Our offense was where the difference was. There was something like he would scramble around and look for pressure. There's a way that like you flick the stick and send them on a go route or like a hot route mid play. I have no idea how he was doing that. John, that was the difference. I let Correlate Elf know I'm going to go on the pod and talk about this. You better win it all. We're going to have you on the pod. So congrats to him. I thought I was better than I was. These guys are really out here, John. They know it all. I was impressed, and good luck to this guy.
Next time you're in a tournament, if you want to win, don't use Ball State.
You
got to. It was just Ball State, Ball State.
All right. Hey, we're going to wrap up here. We got about a minute left. So I want to shout out the shop. If you want to support Ball State of the Union, be sure to go to www.theshopindy.com. Use code BSUnion at checkout. You'll get free shipping. This week, the rest of the week upcoming, obviously New Hampshire this weekend. First game at Schumann Stadium this year. Be sure if you're able to get out there, support the team. On Wednesday night, we'll be live again here on all the Ball State of the Union channels. We're going to be joined by Justin McIsaac. He's actually the radio voice for the University of New Hampshire football team. He's going to give us an inside look at all things UNH. So Willie, we appreciate you again becoming a member of the team. And I think I can't officially put this out there, but I think our career earnings and our career time in the NFL might make us the number one G5 podcast that exists out there. So
That's what I'm
everyone
talking
out
about.
there, chirp, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you
Thanks,
guys
guys.
on Wednesday.